Hello and welcome back to Content Junkeez, your home for all things content creation. I'm your host, Austin Alvarez, joined by our co-host, Robert Condell. Robert, it's a little special of a day here. We have our first guest in studio. We have Miss Maggie Jenson, who is a health and wellness coach for addictive behaviors, but you told me it's more of like an alternative sobriety coach. Is that correct?
Yes. I didn't know I was your first guest here. So thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Robert was like,
exciting.
we're going to have her on. I was like, tremendous. Let's do it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the reason why I wanted to have her on is because she does content and she runs a small business and she's really scaled. So we want to pick your brain, Maggie.
Yeah. So the first question I really want to ask you is, what is the importance of making content for you?
Well, for me, I know that my message is very unique, very, I would even say controversial or polarizing. And so getting my message out authentically through content is really the only way that I feel confident in kind of educating society on my methodology with health, with mindset, with cutting back or quitting alcohol. I think that content is the most amazing platform to be you. And okay, some people aren't going to like it, but you're going to find your people. And can I just say it's a lot less expensive than advertising. So that's a good shout out for small businesses.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, what specifically did you choose first? Like, did you just pick up your phone? Did you hire somebody with like a videographer first? What was your, because I don't even know. What started it?
My first.
And when did it click?
Yeah. Oh, I would say it's still clicking. I think every day is a new like little light bulb moment. But when I first started posting for my business, it was towards the end of 2020. And I'm kind of an ex-journalism nerd. I used Adobe InDesign, Adobe Photoshop. I didn't really even know anything about Canva or any of these tools that are even now kind of outdated. This was even before AI stuff. So I was like creating things on Adobe InDesign for still post right before Reels became popularized.
So you're doing pictures first, photos and pictures.
Photos,
this is in
pictures.
2020, right? Yeah.
And this was kind of still when, do you remember when like infographics were really popular?
Yeah.
People saving like meal plans where it's like all the little icons of the meal, like that kind of thing. That's what I was doing. And that really did work in the beginning. And then Reels came out and I was totally like, no, I'm not doing that.
Like showing your face.
Just video editing in general for me. It was so much easier for me to create a graphic than a video. That was very intimidating to me. I was so intimidated by it that I didn't even try. I think for the first probably 6 months that Reels were popping off, I just had this big resistance towards it. And then I just said, it's working for other people. Let me try it out. But then I realized that wasn't really my zone of genius. And that's when I hired a videography team and they helped me get really confident with it. Worked with them for almost a year, I think. And then I felt like I was ready. I had learned what I needed to learn to be able to whip something up on any kind of video editor.
Yeah, but you already had, I think you had a couple hundred videos already, right? You were already doing a lot of content.
Yes.
So she didn't hire right away. Because I want to backtrack there. Because you went from stills, traditional type of like promoting, which is just like photos, infographics, to
now
video.
carousels.
So now you're doing video. So to walk us there, like what was your struggles like recording yourself and how to come up with content? One of our episodes is how do you come up with content? So how do you make content for your specific audience, which is, like you said, people struggling with behavior and addictive personalities and struggling with alcoholism, which is a very touchy subject. So how do you make content coming up with that? And then you can kind of walk us through that whole sort of like process.
Yeah. Well, it was all a learning curve for me in the beginning. I know that I made several mistakes trying to pack too many messages into one video.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would lose my audience and I notice this now in myself, as soon as a creator is talking about one thing and then they go, and on top of that, and I'm like, nope, I just wanted to know about that one thing. Yeah. So I had to get really clear on exactly what each purpose of each individual video was.
So you were trying to jam pack too many topics.
Do
you find that a problem too sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, so for myself, so I mostly do like, I have a show called Bizarre Junkeez, so I talk about like true crime, cryptids, aliens, paranormal, stuff like that. I find that if you try to do too many, or you try to be too broad, it sometimes can lose its effect. But being too niche also takes a ton of work,
because you have to go, you have to deep dive.
You have to deep dive. You have to research. You also have to
Yes.
like cross-reference, because in that community they will call you out if you're wrong about something.
They're ready to fact check at any moment.
They already know more than you.
Well, I think here's the thing: the audience is smart, and they do want to fact check. So that's why I think we're making, pretty good points here. That keeping it focused is like kind of, it works now because there are so many videos out. I think you do have to keep focused a little bit.
Yeah.
And keeping it focused means a few different things that are advantageous. You get more content. Instead of packing 10 points into one video, you can have 10 separate videos. You can make shorter videos. Unfortunately, everybody, our attention span has gone down, so we have to get the point out across very quickly. But then it also really gives you your opportunity to fully expand out on that one thing. And a lot of times I think other creators are like skimming the surface, scratching the skin on these one topics. But if you really say, I'm going to dive deep on this one thing, then people will be like, wow, I know I see this everywhere, but this page, this account, this creator, they taught me more than I could have ever learned on this other account. That's just skimming the surface.
Because you went in, you dived.
Yeah.
You did deep dive.
It goes back to the what we always tell people here on this channel is, if you're passionate about it, people will know.
Yeah.
If you care about it, people will know. 1, you'll be more energized with it. 2, you'll have more motivation to do it. 3, it just comes off better in the video. It's like, I want to talk about this. So people are more willing to listen.
I was talking to Travis about it too. It's like, people will now find what they like in you, right? And like, the more you actually nerd out on things, which is weird because we were like, am I oversharing? People actually like that, which is weird. You're
really
like,
do.
you're all insecure. I'm like, I think I said too much. And people, then those are the videos that actually hit, is when you do put too much out there sometimes. You're going to get the haters, which is fine. It just comes with the territory. But like, when you do like open up and like start to be, who you are, that's when your audience comes. And I think that's going to segue to my next question for you is like, when did your audience start to find you as a business? And as Maggie, as a personal, because we're going to talk about personal brand.
Yeah.
Business and personal brand. When did they start to gravitate to your content?
There were
Video 50, video 100, 1,000, like
There
ballpark.
were, I would say, there were a few different ingredients in kind of the quickness that started to happen to my following. I think it was probably around video, probably about video 50 or 60.
Did you blow up on TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram, because I decided after video, I don't have a perfect number, but I would assume it's probably around 50. I decided that I was going to have a hustle strategy for a season. I don't think this mentality is healthy for a creator for life.
Yeah.
But-
You get burnt out
Yes.
so quickly.
But for, I believe it was about 6 months, I said, I'm going to try, and I pretty much did consistently, post 2 reels per day for 6 months.
That's when you
And
saw the spike?
That's when the spike happened.
See, that's what's been going on for me, because I actually hired somebody for my show. I post, at least on Facebook, I have a video coming out every hour from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're shorts. They're shorter clips. And then YouTube, it's kind of the same thing. TikTok, it's 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah.
Just because I'm more monetizer, I want to be more concentrated. But also it's kind of like meal prep. You can do it on like a Sunday night and plan out your whole week.
Yeah.
If you have like for me, my content's evergreen.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about, is this time sensitive? Is this not going to matter next week? I can just map out and plan it all out. But to your point though, you can get burnt out so quickly doing that.
I honestly, I don't suggest it if you're not in the right headspace for it.
Yeah.
There were many times where I wanted to quit, but now looking back, I'm so proud that I stuck it out. But I will say it was also really great timing. I think that the stars aligned for my motivation or my enthusiasm to do it. It was right when Reels was really, really pushing if you post consistently, if you use the trending audio. That was right when like trending audio was the thing. It was kind of when Instagram as a whole, the viewers stopped liking so much of the dancing videos and more of like music overlaid a tip video.
Yeah, they want to learn something.
They wanted to learn. So I hit that right wave of like just the surge in people wanting to learn, not just watch and be entertained. And then I think I also infused, this is where if I could go back and do something different, I infused a little bit extra themes where I wasn't just talking about sobriety. I was also, as you know, like I post about fitness and I always tie that into sobriety. But I got a huge amount of people that were just in the fitness arena.
Yeah.
So they
cross promotion, right?
Yes.
Cross niches.
Cross pollination of your content. I do that all the time. Yeah.
And I think it's smart, but I also think that now I have a lot of fitness people that are like, I don't even think about alcohol, but you know, so it's pros and cons to both.
Yep.
I think the followship is definitely a vanity metric, but helps you feel better about like, oh, this is how many people I get to talk to today. When I only had, 300, 500,000 followers, there definitely was this mindset of like, no one's listening.
Well, Austin, let me ask you this too. Like Austin and I always talk about being prepared. We have a list of things to do. Do you write your stuff down? Do you do batch recording?
Do you have a shot list?
Yeah. How does that work?
Yeah, how does the planning?
Walk us through a content day without paying for a videographer, just you doing it yourself first.
Well, when I was in my grind season, I had batch Sundays where I would go through and I didn't necessarily have a script, but I had my main points. I had what I wanted to get across, and I would record 10 to 14.
Damn, that's a lot.
You need to, yeah.
But
Good job.
Thank you. And I still do that if I say I'm traveling or something coming up where I need to have it scheduled out.
So you have a list of stuff to record on a Sunday and you would try to hash out 10 to 15 reels.
Yep. Switch the top, put my hair in a ponytail, change it up. But here's what I do now, which is probably not best practices, but for me, it feels better. And I feel like the energy behind my content is better. Is I kind of just encourage some sort of inspiration every day. I go for a walk, I listen to a podcast, and then in the day, at some point, I have this moment where I'm like, I should talk about this. And in that moment, I tackle creating it. I stop what I'm doing.
Nice.
Because the energy and the inspiration, I can't replicate that in batching all the time. So what I noticed was in batching, it kind of did turn out by the, 6th, 7th, 8th video, I'm just doing the thing.
You know what you just described?
What?
Austin and I are musicians. So you just got the musical spark and then you now have to drop and pick up a guitar.
Yes.
That's exactly what that is.
And what happened when I was batching, this is how I learned to kind of move away from that and be comfortable with moving away from batching all the time was I would write an idea out when I was in that inspired moment, say on a Thursday or Friday, come Sunday to record it. I was like, what was I feeling here?
Yeah, you lost the motivation.
What was I even talking about? I have my note here, but gosh, I had such like this whole vibe and brain train wave that I was on, and that's gone.
So it looks like you've almost like did it so you can enjoy it again, right?
Yes.
I feel like you're doing that because you do experience content burnout, which is like another thing that we should talk about.
For sure is.
And you're doing it because now you're like, I want to capitalize on the spark and make it genuine, which brings us to our same point. Like you have to make it genuine, right?
Yeah.
So capturing that is like capturing lightning in a bottle almost, right?
Yeah. And sometimes, to be fair, you do have to fake it till you make it. There are times like you cannot be 100% motivated every single day.
I love this podcast so much. Do you love this?
At what point does it become a routine? But moving, so we've kind of identified that. So I want to know, what does personal branding mean to you in the sense of creating content and for your brand and your business?
Personal branding means that no matter what I want to do in the future, I'm not starting from scratch. It's that my name itself symbolizes a feeling, a movement, a way of life. And when I attach that to a new company, a new vision, anything, that brings along my like-minded people that have already built that trust and that relationship. I went to a...
Why is that? Because your name's never going to change, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And if I went to the seminar, Sean Cannell with
Think Media.
Yep. And there were so many speakers there that talked about personal branding, and they're like, you know, they're naming brands, and they're like, nobody knows who the founder of this is. If that founder wanted to go start a new company, they would have to literally start from zero. But if you can personally brand yourself, no matter where you start, you're going to have your people, and you're going to have that recognition right off the bat. And so that's why I've just gone hard with like Magnify Maggie as like my Instagram handle, putting my branding in the handle, talking about the name of Magnify and pairing Maggie with that. People will come up to me in real life and be like, hey, hey, Maggie.
Sure.
And they're like, wait, I just always think of you. And I think Magnify when I think Maggie. And I'm like, okay, so that's exactly what I was wanting there. So I think it's branding. I think it's marketing. I think it's semantics, learning how to put words together to bring along that thought spark. And I think it's incredibly important. Obviously, I'm just starting in it, but I've already launched another little side business with a business partner, and already having what I have with the foundation of Magnify, that's been a really positive thing for us. And we just started about 4 or 5 months ago.
So when should like someone like you, like a small business owner, start to outsource it, or should they outsource it?
Yeah.
What do you think on that?
I think learn what you can on your own. I think self-study is such a powerful asset now. YouTube, you can literally learn anything.
We literally just did an entire episode on, like, I went to film school and I dropped out because most of the information I could pick up on my own.
Right. And you can actually like kind of create your education around your own perspectives. When you go through a traditional course, it's teaching you just one way.
Yep.
Right. So you can educate yourself on anything, but when you feel like it's hard to say, you're going to know it in your gut. When you feel like I don't love doing this, but now I can believe in an investment, then that's where I think where my turning point was. There was a while, when I say believing in my investment, there was a point where I was like, I just need to pay somebody to do this, and gosh, I hope it works.
And maybe you get your time back too, right?
Yes, you get your time back, but if you're investing just to like hope it works, that's coming from a different place of, I want to get help because I know this is going to really skyrocket. I really believe in energetics. I believe in like your perception of something. So it definitely did buy my time back. But it also gave me the confidence of like, I'm kind of moving into a big girl business era where I actually have a team of professionals that are helping me. That amplified my mindset to then show up better in my content because it just helped me see I have a team that has my back, and I'm also learning from them.
So I'm still in the hosting job from Austin. But
That's Austin, your guest.
Let me ask you.
It's your guess.
Let me ask you, as an engineer here at Sticky Paws, you deal with like small businesses just like Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
What are their biggest pain points? You think, why do they come here? And then why do they, are some of them just like, hey, plug and play? Am I going to get...
That's honestly, that's the biggest point, is because they know they don't have to worry about the editing. They don't have to worry about, is the camera going to look good? Is the camera running?
Yep.
They don't have to worry about that.
I think you guys are perfect, and I'm like kind of pandering to Sticky Paws, but like, I think you guys are perfect for like batch recording.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've done like our 4th episode.
4th today.
Yeah, for long form, I think. Batch recording for long form. Podcasting, we're going to do a whole different podcasting episode, but podcasting, I think, is the game right now, because then you can cut up a ton of these little bites, and you get all this behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, you can cut up a lot of bites, but then you can also, it becomes the aspect of, if you're trying to build a personal brand, in a podcast, the common denominator between all your episodes, whether it's guests or not, is you.
Mm-hmm. So
you want people to want to rally behind you. So if you do a podcast, they can kind of get a more in-depth look at you than just doing a TikTok dance.
That's a good point, because then they get to really sit with you for a few hours, right? Like if they start binge watching your content.
Yeah, and then they can look for, like, if you release every Monday, they go, okay, I know Mondays Austin's going to be out, and it's like I'm there with him. It's like I can be in the room and enjoy the conversation that I'm having with him.
Okay. we talked about this just in the episode before about monetization. I don't know when it's going to drop, but Maggie, are you is your content monetized? No?
I don't
How are you getting business out of making content?
Well, there's a whole funnel system.
Talk about it.
I used to hate the word funnel. I think now they call
Explain a funnel for like somebody who doesn't understand what a funnel is, like a marketing funnel.
Yeah. So a funnel, I'll illustrate it because I'm not sure I'm going to use all of the great marketing terms here, but basically a funnel is think about coming from the buyer's perspective. If you were to come across a video on social media that intrigues you, the person is talking about your pain points, they're giving you a solution, you're like resonating with them in the caption, you love everything that they're talking about. Yeah. Maybe you see some fun things in their video and you're like, I have that coffee cup, or that's the same brush I have. I don't know. People are weird. The littlest things, you know? In that content piece, there is some sort of call to action, whether that's, back in the day, it was click the link in my bio.
Yeah.
I still use that.
Yeah. And I would say like a
share
good
for
ratio.
More tips or
you have a link tree.
Link tree. Now what I have found is really powerful is DM me for info, because then you don't have to worry about them actually clicking the link.
No.
They DM you, you have them in your inbox.
That's what I was saying.
So you can always talk to them again. Anyway, so make a little call to action in there and DM me for support. DM me for my ebook. You have to have some reason that they would DM you. Then within that DM, you can get to know them, maybe send them a freebie. The way that it typically works, I'm going to be really honest with my audience. My audience isn't necessarily the type to be like out in broad daylight posting comments on alcohol addiction content, It's very much private matter. So they will DM me. They won't necessarily comment.
But they feel safer though, right?
Yes, they feel safe to DM me and talk privately. And from there, I can say, here's my free ebook. Here's my magnified community. Here's VIP coaching, and I have, that's 3 examples. But that's basically a funnel system, is somehow getting a viewer to then be in either your email list, in your programs, maybe buying your low ticket offers.
But going from, let's just say Instagram, from Instagram, you're taking them out so you can get their info so you can put it in your mailing database, basically your CRM, right? Do you have a CRM?
Yes.
So you have a CRM and you put it through there, and because you never know what's going to happen to Instagram, so you're taking them off the platform, getting their info, and that's how you're able to like nurture them via email list, newsletter, or more videos or whatever, right?
Absolutely. And what I'll do a lot of times is I'll just take old captions, repurpose those into emails for my email list.
I get your emails.
Yeah, you do. I actually see you open them up.
You can see that you open.
I'm like, is Robert going to be my next client? No, I'm just kidding.
Robert, is something you got to tell us, man?
Yeah.
We're here for you.
But I will sometimes repurpose old captions just to save time, send those through email, and then it sounds maybe a little bit obviously redundant or contradictory, but like people see that message on your social media, then they get it again in an email. So I think repetition is really important. Then they start to think about it in their free time. I wonder, I think, and so then they'll come back, reply to email, or they'll send me a DM and be like, I just got your email. I've loved your emails lately, or blah, blah, blah. So whatever that funnel looks like, I haven't even really looked into monetization because I'm able to attract the clientele.
You're telling me Instagram doesn't pay you for your content?
No.
Instagram doesn't pay me either.
Oh, it doesn't. No. Instagram doesn't really monetize people.
No, they do. You can.
I feel like it just came back, right?
It's like invite only.
Yeah.
You can have subscriptions
on
Instagram.
They have like a creator program that's about to start in 2024.
I don't know, because they're under Meta, and like I get paid through Facebook, but not through Instagram. I think I fit the requirements.
Yeah.
Maybe not content wise, but follower wise and activity wise. I think I follow that. But Instagram's a weird one because they don't even give you any information on it.
When I go to post a reel now, there is a little drop box at the very bottom since I updated it, and it says add monetization, and then there's this little toggle bar that says off. I've never played with it. Maybe this is my sign that I should.
Yeah,
we should look at that. One more. Do you have any other questions? Because I could ask Maggie a bunch of questions.
Yeah, no, I just have one kind of to close us out, but I'll let you kind of. This is your.
Well,
guest.
I wanted to ask you like, so if you were gonna give advice to a business, small business.
That's literally my question too. So tremendous.
Look at you guys. Ditto.
Oh, so I was always going to ask is what tips would you give to someone who's looking to begin building their own personal brand with content creation?
I feel like a lot of cliches come to mind.
That's okay though, because they must be cliche because they work.
We need to hear it again. Get out of your own head. Yep. And I think for me, it was think about how mad you would be if you saw a stranger taking the thoughts out of your head, putting them on video. Wouldn't you look at that and say, that was my idea? I thought about that first. I could say that better. So sometimes when I don't feel like making something, I think, would I be like in this competitive mode if I saw somebody else saying this exact same thing, but not as well as I can say it?
Robert.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, I got to make my piece of content. And I just like imagined that scenario, right? I just imagined coming across.
I need to use that.
Yeah. And it makes me enthusiastic. It also, I feel like gives me like this aggressive edge to get my reel done. Cause I imagine that somebody else is like trying to do it better than me.
They're typing the caption. I got to finish this.
Yeah, but here, so I tell a lot of my clients, right, that are real estate agents and they're like, yeah, everyone's doing the same thing I am. But I'm like, if you don't do it, then your competitor is going to take your market share. They're going to be digitally open all the time and you're just going to get smoked. So last question, do you think it's too late to start from scratch?
No, but you should do it the right way. Don't pussyfoot. Starting now, there's so many different pages you can follow about how to grow your audience, how to reach the right people. There's so many different accounts for you to follow. Dive into learning the right way. And when you start your account, or maybe your account's already live, the first day you post, don't stop.
Wow.
Tremendous. That's your action. We don't even need to give you an actionable at the end of this. So I will leave it to Maggie. Maggie, where can people find you? What do you have going on currently out in the world?
Yeah, so you can find me at Magnify Maggie on Instagram. Magnified, just like the magnifying glass, Maggie, M-A-G-G-I-E. And then, like I mentioned, we just started a new group coaching program to help people experiment with the sober side of life. So at Try the Sober Experiment, if you are ready or down to learn more about that. I'm also on YouTube under Magnify Maggie as well. So TikTok, Magnify Maggie J. Just across the board, look up Magnify M and it will pop up.
Tremendous. Well, you already gave us our actionable, which is to just as soon as you start, do not stop. Robert and I want to say thank you so much for coming on and being our first guest of many that we're going to have on. But this was such an insightful conversation.
Yeah, we have to have you back because you can teach a master class.
Yeah, we'll have to have like
I would love to.
1 year later, she's like, actually, stop for a day. The new trend is stop for the day.
Yeah.
Instagram will go, where'd you go? You post again, and then they push you harder.
Well, that's the thing too, is it's always changing. So if you would have asked me 1 year ago, what I say right now would have not been the same. So yeah, be flexible. We'll see you in a year, right?
Yeah, we'll see you in a year. But everybody watching, we'll see you on the next episode, and take care.
Woo!